So, what is DFT? The DFT is a technique which facilitates a design to become a testable after production. It is a design to become a testable after production. It's an the extra sorry it's the extra logic which we put in the normal design during the design process, which helps its post production testing. DFT means design for testability. So design for testability is used to indicate that we need to build a fault model to test the chip which comes off the manufacturing line and called as the manufacturing test. It is used to indicate that we need to build a fault model to test the chip which comes off the manufacturing line called the manufacturing test. Now, why we need DFT? So, the post-production testing is necessary because the process of manufacturing is not 100% error-free. There are defects in silicon which contribute towards the error introduced in the physical device. Of course, the chip will not work as per the specification if there are any errors, and to increase the productivity and to improve the quality. So there are various types of the defects which are introduced during the manufacturing, and these defects can be catastrophic, that is contamination that destroy every transistor on the wafer. Also, the defect may be a single misfired wire or a crystalline defect that kills only one transistor. Some bad chips can be found very easily, while in some cases we need to test each chip thoroughly to find even subtle flaws that produce erroneous result only occasionally. Therefore, the task of determining whether the fabricated chips are fully functional or not is highly complex. Also, it is very time consuming. If the faulty chip passes an improperly designed test, then they can cause a system failure, and due to this, enormous difficulties can arise in system debugging. The debugging cost increases around a tenfold from a chip level to a board level, and also from a board level to the system level. Therefore, it is very important to detect a fault as early as possible. The debugging cost increases around the tenfold from chip level to board level. So it is important to detect the fault as early as possible. As the transistor density, or we can say number of transistors in unit area, increases, the task of testing to ensure a correct functionality becomes increasingly more difficult. But still, we need to test the chip within short time for timely delivery to the customer. So therefore, to overcome such a difficult issue, the design for testability, that is the DFT, has become even more critical. All the chips which are designed are not equally testable. Some faults may require a long input sequence as the test vectors. Other faults may not be testable at all because they cause a chip malfunctions that are not covered by the fault model. The testability problems are often fixed easily early in the design process at relatively little cost in area and performance. Traditionally, the chip design engineers have ignored design problems, leaving them to a separate test engineer whose job is to find a set of input to adequately test the chip. But the job of the test engineer becomes both difficult and unpleasant. Therefore, the modern chip designer must understand the testability requirement. Analysis techniques must be designed to identify hard to test sections of the design. So the basic principle is controllability and observability. We have already seen this controllability and the observability, these principles. So here we will see in short what is controllability and observability. So observability means it is a degree to which it can be observed that a node at the output operates correctly. Observability is useful when a test engineer has to measure the output of gate or chip within a larger circuit. So to check its correct operation, the higher observability indicates less number of cycles required to measure the output node value. The circuit having poor observability includes a sequential circuit with long feedback 100 And controllability means it is the ability of an internal circuit within a chip, the ease of setting the node to logic 1 or 0 state. The controllability is important while accessing the degree of difficulty of testing a particular signal in node. So node with a little controllability may take the hundreds of the cycle to get it to the right state. So here is the diagram CUT, that is the circuit under test. The input signals are given. Let me get output signals here. Next is the DFT methods. So there are two types of DFT methods: ad hoc method and structured method. Now DFT techniques, ad hoc technique. What is ad hoc technique? It is temporary technique. It has a good design practice learned through experience are used as a guidelines for ad hoc DFT. Structural technique means it provides a more systematic and automatic approach to enhance the design testability, and it targets a manufacturing defect. Then scan path design. What is scan path design? A scan path is a design for testability technique which involve a specialized flip-flop or latch allowing a data to be scanned in for control and then out for observation and then activated in scan mode for test purpose. A scan path is tested by shifting a special pattern through the scan path before the stuck at fault begin. The test pattern consists of ones and zeros that test ability of the scan path to shift all possible transitions. So the data is here serially shifted into a scan path when scan enable is high. The scan operation simplifies the task of creating stimuli for sequential circuit. The scan operation also reduces the time of testing as multiple scan paths can run in parallel with same cost. So scan path design, it is most widely used DFT technique. The scan path can be inserted in a non-scan sequential circuit netlist in an automated way. So what is actually done? Here all the flip-flops are replaced by a scan flip-flop. Connect the scan flip-flop as configurable shift register. Add one test control primary input. Add a scan in input and scan out output for the shift register. So here is the diagram which shows this. Here is a sequential circuit before adding a scan chain. So what is scan flip-flop? The D flip-flop, here D flip-flop is followed by the mux. Now scan chain. Before going to the scan chain, what are the advantages of scan path? The first advantage is the test vectors can be generated by automatic test pattern generator. During design, the phase problem like observability and controllability need not to be considered. No need of complex test vector generator for all input except scan in and scan out. Disadvantages of scan path is the scan path results in hardware overhead and additional multiplexers are required. The speed degradation may be observed due to the additional multiplexers in the signal path. So scan chain is formed by connecting the scan flip-flop in serial manner, and it will function like a shift register, and it is used to perform controllability and observability. Then there are two types, that is full scan and partial scan. The sequential automatic test pattern generator is used for partial scan, and combinational automatic test pattern generator is used for full scan. So full scan provide total controllability and observability. Also full scan provide high fault coverage for structural defect. Full scan testing is carried out in two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Now phase 1, it tests the scan register by shift register, and phase 2 is single stuck at fault in combinational logic. So the test generation time is very small for full scan. And in partial scan mode, all the flip-flops are not into a scan path. So the gate overload overhead is significantly lower for a partial scan. Also it improves the fault coverage and fault efficiency to adequately high levels. So if we can observe the state of all the flip-flops instead of observing the network output, then the problem of testing a sequential network is greatly simplified. For each state of the flip-flop and for each input combination, we need to verify that the network output are correct and the network goes to the correct next state. Once the approach is to connect the output of each flip-flop within the IC being tested to one of the IC pin. This increases the number of IC pins, hence this approach is not very practical. Now another approach is to arrange the flip-flop to form a shift register so that we can shift out the state of the flip-flop bit state of flip-flop bit by bit using a single serial output pin on the IC, and it leads to the concept of scan path testing. The sequential network is separated into a combinational The sequential network is separated into a combinational logic part and the state register composed of the flip-flop. Each of the flip-flop has 2D flip-flops, 2D inputs and the 2 clock inputs. When the network is being tested, the flip-flop are set to a specified state by shifting the state code into a register using STI and TCK. Now the next is fault models. So the fault models are stacked fault model, transistor fault model, bridging fault, delay fault. Delay fault can be classified as a gate delay, transition fault, hold time, slow and small delay fault. So delay faults cause the timing failure in the chip, and there are number of timing parameters which need to be satisfied, such as a setup and hold time, etc. But when we are testing a chip at a target speed, it causes a timing failure due to the delay fault. The delay faults occur due to the reasons. The first reason is variation in the fabrication process, which cause a variation in circuit delay and clock skew. Second, improper estimation of on-chip interconnect and routing delays and other timing considerations. Then the next is there may be opens in a metal lines connecting a parallel transistors, which make the effective transistor size much smaller. So the detection of delay fault is more difficult than detecting a functional fault at steady state, because the delay fault can be observed only at a system clock frequency, and the functional test is usually done at speed lower than the target speed due to limitation of testers. So we need to apply a special clocking for delay test on slow tester. The delay fault is due to accumulation of delay error along the entire path. What is fault simulation? Fault simulation is defined as a process of measuring the quality of test. So the fault simulation is performed using a gate level model and functional level model. The fault simulation serves a following functions, such as it confirms the detection of fault, it computes the fault coverage, diagnostics of the circuit, and identifies the area of circuit where fault coverage is inadequate. A model for how fault occur and their impact on the circuit is called fault model. Fault model means what? A model for how faults occur and their impact on a circuit is called fault model, and a fault model for every circuit is proposed. Therefore, a fault model for every circuit is proposed before the actual testing. Testing should involve detecting all the possible fault in all the possible fault. So the device under test, the extent of testing decides the percentage of fault that can be detected. So for this, the term test coverage is used, and detection of all possible fault in device under test corresponds to 100% test coverage. Usually it is similar to detect first 80% of the fault by means of various classical test strategies. When it comes to giving a more than 80% coverage, specific test methods are required to be developed. Thus, the test coverage is a measure of the goodness of the test program, and the testing involves a fault grading and fault simulation. The faults are the testing involves fault grading and fault simulation. The faults are generally classified into different categories for the purpose of documentation and maintaining history of particular design. The classification is done using a different models, and therefore and there are three levels of definition fault, that is physical model, logical model, and mathematical model. Next part is importance of testing and testability. We will discuss it in next lecture. Thank you.